Hi there, Mr. Holcomb here with another episode of The Math Behind the Modules. Okay, hi there. This chapter is 8.8, stock splits. Objectives of this lesson are to calculate the post-split outstanding shares and share price for a traditional split. Calculate the post-split outstanding shares and share price for a reverse split, and calculate the fractional value amount that a shareholder receives after a split. So there are a few definitions here. I'll go through those. So a stock split is when a corporation changes the number of outstanding shares while at the same time adjusts the price per share so that the market cap remains unchanged. Did everybody hear that? Market cap does not change. Outstanding shares. The total number of all shares issued to investors by a corporation. So if someone owns shares of a stock, they're outstanding. Market capitalization or market cap is the total value of all of the company's outstanding shares. Traditional stock split is a split where the value of a share and the number of shares are changed in such a proportional way that the value is decreased as the number of shares increases while the market cap remains the same. Remember that. Market cap does not change. Reverse stock split is when the number of outstanding shares is reduced and the market price per share is increased as the price per share increases. The investor perceives that the stock is worth more, even though they have half as many or a fraction of the number. Penny stock is a stock whose value is less than $5 per share. And fractional part of a share is when a split creates a situation where less than one share remains. Companies do not pay out fraction, or they don't give you fractional parts of a share. So if you have an even number of shares and it's divided into thirds, for example, the fractional part will be reimbursed to you as cash. They will buy a fractional share from you. And if they do that for everybody, then that's how they accumulate shares of their own stock. Okay, so there's the definitions. Okay, example one. Let me get my highlighter. It says on April 9th, Starbucks Corporation, SBUX, instituted a 2-for-1 stock split. Before the split, the market share was $95.30 per share, and the corporation had 749 million shares outstanding. What was pre-split market cap for Starbucks? So I put the definition down here, or the formula down here, not the definition, the formula. So the pre-split market cap equals the number of shares times the market price. So if we have 749 million shares outstanding, to answer this question, you write equals 749 million times the market price, which is 95.30. Okay, so I'll get my calculator out. And 749,000,000. Did I do enough? No, right there. Times $95.30 is going to be 713,797. 713,797. And it said e to the 10, was it? So that's scientific notation with 10 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 3, and 3. So the answer is $7,137,970,000. That is the market cap for Starbucks. Okay, so the check your understanding says corporation has a market cap of $24 billion with 250 million outstanding shares. Calculate the price per share. Okay, so you use the same formula and you just substitute in the givens and solve using orders of operations. That's all this is. So pre-market cap, the market cap The corporation has a market capitalization of, that goes over here, 24 billion. Equals number of shares, 250 million, times market price. And I'm just going to call that X. That's times market price. We don't know the market price. To get the market price, we divide by 250,000,000, both sides. 250,000,000. So these will cancel, leaving us with our market price. And I'm just going to be careful here and cancel zeros. And it's easier to put in your calculator. So 2400 divided by 25. 2400 divide 25. And it comes out to be $96 per share. And that's the check your understanding. Okay, so example 2 says, what was the post-split number of shares outstanding for Starbucks in example 1? So if I go back to example 1, what I need is how many shares? 749 million. It was a 2-for-1 split. Okay. 749 million, 2-for-1 split. Okay, so it was a 2-for-1 split. So for every share you had, you got 2 shares. So when it's split 2 to 1, 2 over 1 is how you want to set this up. You want to set up a proportion, and we want to find out how many shares did the beginning number of shares when they were 1 become when they became 2 for every 1. So this was 749 million shares. And it was a 2-for-1 split. So for every share you own, you now had 2. So in order to solve this, we just simply cross multiply 1 times X equals 2 times, I'll use parentheses, 749 million. Okay, so when I do that, I get X equals 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 2 times 9 is 18, carry the 1, 4 times 2 is 8, plus that carried 1 is 9, and 7 times 2 is 14. So now there are 1.498 billion shares. Okay, or 1,498,000,000 shares. So after the split, those 749 million shares doubled. Okay. And then the check your understanding says Qualcomm Incorporated, QCOM, instituted a 4-for-1 split in November. Okay, so they did a 4-for-1. For every 1 share you had, it became 4 shares. After the split, Elena owned 12,800 shares. Notice how I did this differently. It said after the split, she had this. This was before the split. It was this. It became the numerator. All right. So in order to solve this, what it's asking is how many shares had she owned before the split. We're going to cross multiply and get 4x equals 12,800. Divide both sides by 4. And X equals 4 goes into 12 3 times, 4 goes into 8 2 times, and 2 zeros. She had 3,200 shares, and for every 1 share, she got 4. So you just multiply what she had before by 4, and that became 12,800 shares. Okay, so example 3 says, what was the post-split market price per share for Starbucks in example 1? How many shares are outstanding? Did the market change after the split? Okay, so it was a 2-for-1 split, which means for every share you had, you got 2 for 1. So 1 share became 2. So when that happens, it does not benefit you financially as a stockholder immediately. The number of shares change, the dollar amount changes, but multiplying the 2 together is the same product. In other words, if I had if I had, let me just give you an example. If I have 10 shares of stock and they're $5 each, then that equals $50. I have 10 shares, they're worth $5. Well, if they split these and they say, okay, now we're going to 2-for-1 those, you now have 20 shares. For every share, I get 2 shares, but they're not $5 anymore, but they still are worth $50. So 50 divided by 10 is $5. 50 divided by 20 is $2.50. So you're getting more shares at half the price, and your value of the number of shares you have is never changing. It stays the same. A stock split, you still have the same dollar amount of shares. Okay, so with that said, now we're going to tackle this problem. And when there's a post split, that means after it's split, example 1 was a 2-for-1. Before it split, Starbucks was $95.30. So if it split and for every share that was $95.30, we now have 2 shares that total $95.30. Well, it's going to be 1/2 times that $95.30. So you can write the ratio in the fraction 2-for-1, 2/1. If you multiply by the reciprocal, you get the dollar value, if you think of it that way. So anyway, 1/2 times 95.30, well, half of 30, if I divide that by 2, 2 goes into 9 4 times, 2 goes into 15 7 times, with a remainder of 1. 2 goes into 13 6 times, with a remainder of 1, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. So it was 95.30, and now it's going to be 47.650. But we don't need that 0 because it's money. So now each share is $47.65. But I have twice as many of them, but the same dollar amount total. Okay, so first says how many shares are outstanding. Okay, so the price of the shares dropped to $47.60. They went from $95.30 to $47.65 each. Okay, and there were 749 million shares. Okay, and for every 1 share, we now have 2. So you multiply that by 2, and we are going to get 7 times 2 is 14, 2 times 4 is 8, 9 times 2 is 18, and then 1 2 1 2 3 zeros. And we end up with, let me redo that. I just didn't want that dot there that I touched the screen with. There we go. Just get rid of that way. So it's 1,481,800,000. It used to be 749,000. So now it's 1.4818 billion. It was 749 million. Okay. All right, so in October, check your understanding now. In October, Johnson Controls Inc. instituted a 3-for-1. I'm going to highlight that. A 3-for-1 split. After the split, so they're getting 3 shares for every 1. So you're getting 3 times the shares. So it's going to be 1/3 the value. Okay. So it says after the split, the price of 1 share was $39.24. So if you divided the original price by 3 to get the after split price, to get the price pre-split, you have to multiply by 3. So the answer to this is just simply 3 times $39.24. So 4 times 3 is 12, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, 9 times 3 is 27, carry the 2, 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So those stocks were $117.72 before the split. Divide that by 3, and now they're $39.24. Okay, so example 4 now says on May 9th, Citigroup Inc. C instituted a 1-for-10. Oops. Oh, a 1-for-10 reverse stock split. Okay, so in other words, if you had 10 shares, you now have 1. If you had 100 shares, you now have 10. Okay, so this is backwards. This is not, it's not really a stock split, it's a stock merge, if you will. A reverse split is a merge. So before the split, the market share price was $4.48, and there were 29 billion shares. What was the post-split share price and number of shares? Okay, so that's what they're asking. So let me just start off with this here. So a ratio for the split is a 1-for-10 reverse. One share is coming from 10. All right. So post-split number of shares equals A over B times the pre-split number of shares from the previous page. So there's my A, there's my B, and that equals, or that the post-split number of shares. What was the post-split share price and number of shares? If we do the number first, we're going to multiply by the 29 billion shares, and it's going to be 1/10 of that. Okay. So we're going to multiply by 29 billion. And so obviously when you multiply by a fraction, 10, or divide by 10, you're getting rid of 1 0. Okay, so the answer is going to be 2,900,000,000. Okay, that is the number of shares. Now, talking about the price of the shares of being $4.48. Okay, so before the split, the price was $4.48 per one share, and we're taking 10 shares and making them 1, so we're going to multiply by 10, and it's going to be $44.80 per share. Okay, so why would a company do that? Well, if it's under $5, remember, it's called a penny stock, and a lot of people avoid trading penny stocks because it's risky. So Citigroup takes 10 of their shares and makes them 1, and they went from a $4.48 penny stock company to a $44.80 stock company, and they're no longer considered a penny stock. That could be one reason. Okay, and so we found the post-split share price and number of shares. Now, before I go to just check your understanding, though, I didn't finish example 3. I got looking at that, and it said, did the market cap change after the split? I never answered this question because hopefully from the definitions and what I focused on at the beginning, the first page, market caps remain unchanged on all stock splits. Okay. Market cap remains unchanged. If the number of shares increases, the dollar value decreases to offset the change, and the market cap remains equal. Okay, so the market cap does not change after splits. In this case, the share decreased by half, but the number of shares increased by double. So when you multiply, you still get the same market cap. All right, so now let's move on to check your understanding. A major drugstore chain whose stocks are traded on New York Stock Exchange was considering a 2-for-1 or 2-for-5 reverse split. Okay, so they're doing a 2-for-5 reverse split. So you have 5 shares. For every 5 shares you have, now you only have 2. If the pre-split market cap was 1.71 billion, what was the post-split market cap? Well, I just gave you the answer by reading that definition again. The answer to that is simply 1.71 billion, because market caps don't change with splits. Okay, and to further your understanding, let me go back to my highlighter here. Suppose that before a stock split, a share was selling for $2.35. After the stock split, the price was $7.05 per share. What was the stock split ratio? Okay, so I could set that out algebraically. What was the stock split ratio? So the stock split ratio times the pre-split number of shares, or pre-split share price, equals post-split share price. Okay, so we're going to use that one. So let me write that. Post-split share price equals the ratio times the pre-split share price. That's a tongue twister. All right, so post-split share price is 705 times some ratio equals, nope, I'm sorry, disregard that. I forgot the equal sign. Post-split share price 705 equals the ratio times the pre-split share price. In order to get that ratio by itself, we divide by 235 on both sides. Okay, those cancel. We get B over A equals, and if I go to my calculator real quick, just to show you where that comes from, 7.05 divided by 2.35 equals 3. 3 as a ratio is 3 over 1. So it is a, what we would say is a 1-4-3 split. Suppose that before a stock split, the share was 235, now it's 705. So it was 1 for, okay, so it's not 3 for 1, that doesn't make sense. It is 1 for 3. Actually, no, it is 3 for 1, 3 over 1. So if I put 3 over 1 here, 3 times 235 over 1 times 235 would give me this over here. So it's a 3 over 1 equals BA. That is a 1 for 3 split. Okay, 1 for 3 split. Okay, example 5. Steve owned 942 shares. Of a manufacturing company on January 3rd for a 5-for-4 split was announced. Okay, so on January 3rd, they're like a 5-for-4 split. So if you have 4 shares, now you'll have 5. So think about that. Whenever you think that, if you're getting 5 shares when you had 4, the price is going down and the number of shares is going up. Okay, so you might want to make this little note here. This is just a note to do this. When you are getting more shares in a split, the dollar value for each share decreases, but the number of shares increases. All right, so with that in mind, we'll continue. The stock was selling at 56 per share before the split. How was Steve financially affected? All right, so here we go. This is a little bit more complex, this problem. But it's not bad. So he owned 942 shares. So he started with 942 shares. I'm going to write that. The stock was selling at 56 before the split. So he had $56 per share and he had 942 shares. So just to save time, I'm going to take 942 times 56 and I get $52,752. 52,700, and now I forgot 52. So he had $52,752 in this company. 942 shares at 56 bucks. The stock split and it went 5-for-4. So the value is going to decrease. This $56 is going to get smaller. The number of shares is going to go up. So if you think of the number of shares going up, you have to take 942 times the ratio. What makes that go up? 4 over 5 or 5 over 4? And it's going to be 5 over 4. Anything greater than 1 increases your number you're multiplying by, yes? And that's the same as 0.8, 5, or I'm sorry, 1.25. But I'll put it in just like this, 5 over 4 times 942 is going to be a greater number, 1,177.5. So 1,177 shares. Okay, and I'm going to put this 0.5, I'll put 0.5. 0.5 off to the side. Okay, and notice what this says. It's 1,177 and a half shares. All right, but if I go back to my first page and I scroll to the bottom, it says when a split creates a situation where less than one share remains, that is a fractional part of a share. And if you read the chapter, what happens there is the company will give you the dollar value for that half a share. They'll give you money. They'll send you a check and you have that half a share less. They're not going to give you a half a share. They're not going to ask you for money to make it a full share. They just give you a dollar value for half that share. And we'll get to that in a moment. So 5/4 times 942 is 1,177 and a half shares, but he's only allowed to have 1,177, no half shares. Okay. And when that happens, the share price is going to go down. So at the same time, I'll use this one. I'm going to use the 4/5 ratio to multiply the money. Okay. So it's 4/5 of $56. So if I take 4/5 times 56, okay, now that stock is $44.80. Okay, and I just want to show you that if I take 942 shares times $56, we had $52,752 worth of stocks. Okay, but now I have $44.80 worth of stock. But now I have 1,177.5 shares. It's still $52,752, right? Okay, but I don't have that half a share. So now I'm going to take that 1177 times 4480. And my share value now is 52,729.60. Okay, these are my shares, but I had a half a share, and half of $44.80 is $22.40. And that is going to be cash. Okay, and so they're going to give him 1,177 shares at $44.80 now, and give him a check for $22.40 to pay for this half a share they didn't allow him to hold. And when you add that, it comes out to be this right here. So how was Steve financially affected by the split? Well, he's got $22.40 less invested in this company, but he's got the cash instead. So that's the only difference. Okay. All right. So now let's check your understanding. Gabriella owned 1,045 shares. Let me get my highlighter out. Highlight. She owned 1,045 shares of Hollow Z Corp at a price of $62.79. The stock split 3 for 2. For every 2 shares, now you have 3. How was Gabriella financially affected by the split? So I'm going to do the same thing. If I take $1,045 shares times $62.79 per share, and I can get a dollar amount. 1,045 times 62.79 equals $65,615.55. That was how much she had invested in Hollow Z Corp. They split 3 for 2. 3 shares for every 2. So I'm going to do this. It's going to be this again. Shares went up, so the dollar value is going to go down. So for the shares to go up, you want to take your shares, 1,045 shares, and multiply it by the ratio greater than 1. And that's going to equal 1,045 parentheses 3 divide 2. It's going to come out to be that 1,045 shares now 1,567 shares plus 0.5 Okay, that was also a decimal. There's a half a share there. She can't have a half a share. They will give her the cash for it. Now, when I go to do the number of, or the value of the stock, you take the ratio the other way because the price is going to decrease, and it's going to be $62.79 times 2/3. Okay, so parentheses 2 divide 3, 62.79 is now $41.86. Okay, so she now has shares that are worth $41.86, but she now has 1,567 of them, where they used to be worth $62.79 each, but she only had 1,045. So she has over 500 more shares, but they're $21, give or take, cheaper. Okay, and half of $41.86 is $20 for 40, and half of $1.86 is 93. So $20.93 cash. She's going to get $20.93 in cash, and she's going to have $65,615.55 in stocks. Oops, I better line up the dollar values. 65, 615, 55. I'll write it backwards. 55, 5, 1, 6, 5, 6. She has $65,615.55 in shares. And she has $20.93 in cash for that half a share. And when I add these, I get $65,636.48. So 1,045 times 62.79 was this. Did I add wrong somewhere? Now we have 1,045 shares, or we had 1,045. Now we have 1,567 shares. Oh, I haven't done it yet. So 1,567 times 41.86. That's where I went wrong. So let me do an undo here. Minimize that, click here, undo this. This amount here is what I have to figure, and I haven't done it yet. So there were 1,045 shares at 62.79, and this is the dollar value right here before the split. After the split, we have $41.86 times 1,567 shares is 18. What's this T1? I typed something wrong here. Okay, where was I? Lost track. Let's try that again. 1,567 shares times $41.86 is $65,594.62. $65,594.62. Okay. Share value. 9 and 6 is 15, carry the 1, get a 5. 9 and 2 is 11, carry the 1, 6, 5, 6. 65,615.55. It still matches, but we now have $20.93 in cash. How was Gabriella financially affected by the split? She owns less of the company because they gave her a half a share value back in cash. Okay. And I think that is the end of chapter 8.8. I hope this was helpful for you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and peace.